Hey, good morning. This is the channel CropCast, turning agronomy into action here on August 19th, and I am your host, Tyler Brugdenhill, technical agronomist here for the channel seed brand in South Central Nebraska. Appreciate you guys tuning back in. I know I've had a couple weeks here where we haven't had an update, and we'll get to why at the end of the video, but appreciate everybody tuning back in. Let's jump right into it. And again, as in other videos, we're looking at two different planting dates here and looking at accumulation of growing degree days. So a couple things to point out here, really, if you look at these. Um, so if I can get my pen to work here, here we go. Really interesting. So looking at if we started planting on April 20th versus May 4th, not a ton of difference in what we're seeing, but you go down here on the Kansas border in my South Central territory, 190 above at Alma, so 190 units ahead of normal, going back to 1951, looking at GDU averages, and then 109 units ahead of normal at Kearney. And then if you decided, hey, I'm going to wait 2 weeks later to start planting, 183 units ahead of normal at Alma and about right at 97 units ahead of normal at Kearney. So um, I do think you're going to see some heavily consistent differences in planting date this year, and that's going to culminate by looking at things like when did we pollinate, how long did we stay in hot pollination temperatures versus cooler ones. Those are going to play some very big factors. I know that's nothing new to anybody listening to this, but I think this is going to have a pretty profound difference on what we see and how this crop finishes out and when it decided to pollinate based on planting date. Similarly, if we go to precipitation ranks by climate district, and obviously nothing new here, we've gone over these maps in previous weeks, but just for anybody that's maybe tuning in for the first time, looking from essentially the 1st of May through the end of June here on this first map. So trending pretty well ahead. We were catching a lot more rain opportunities in that time frame and period than not. So looks like for South Central Nebraska, we were ranked as the 49th wettest year. So you can kind of see throughout the whole corn belt here where we were sitting. Now I'm going to flip the map and I'm going to go from July 1st to date, and you're going to see a pretty profound difference here. Okay, a lot more brown. Now South Central Nebraska went from 46 to 58. So I honestly expected to see a much bigger difference here, but you can see the eastern side of the state of Nebraska, Iowa, all having much better rain chances, and we started to get depleted here in the last couple of months. So rain instances went down in some cases where we did get the rain we needed. It came with other stuff that we didn't need. So I think there's a lot of people that are feeling that between wind, hail, and just really opening up plants to a very diverse disease package that has plagued us this year. And again, that's kind of the way it goes here in Nebraska. Sometimes when we do get those rain opportunities, they come with stuff that we don't want, that gets pulled right along with it. For corn growth cycle, again, we've seen this slide many times, but looking at weekly nutrients required to grow 400 bushel corn. Again, like I've said before, don't get wrapped up into the 400 bushel thing. Mainly focus on, hey, what do we need to be uptaking from a nutrition standpoint, and at what growth stages does that become critically important for us? So, a lot of corn at R5 already, some still at R4. So, when we think about this, we've utilized about 84% of our nitrogen. But the one that's really surprising still here is this sulfate piece, and we've only utilized about 60% of our sulfur. So much of that is critically important if we have that opportunity to fertigate, to put something on with a wide drop system. That sulfur piece becomes really critical late. So the later we can push that to in those late fertigation applications, the better off we are. But you can kind of see how we sit here in terms of nutrient assimilation and utilization at this point. Probably more of a hot topic right now, disease and insect concern as we finish out this crop. I've gotten numerous questions over the past few weeks. Obviously, southern rust is the one that is kind of the billboard right now, and I did pull up this chart. This is pulled right off the Crop Protection Network. A lot of questions being asked. Hey, do I need a second pass of fungicide? If I do, when does that stop being effective? Uh, if you look at this, I mean, every field and every situation is going to be a little bit different. So again, know what cultivar or hybrid that you planted, know what that score is in terms of susceptibility, especially if we continue to see this pathogen sporing late into September here, which is very, very possible. We saw it last year. So some of these may be more at risk than others. We know that up front, right? So again, this chart, if you look at it in layman's terms, is basically saying, hey, am I going to benefit from spraying at R3 if I didn't spray anything else? That's a yes. Do I need a second application? They're saying, I don't know if you're going to benefit from that second application from R3 on. Now, I'd say the caveat to that is talking with your local seed professional about, hey, what do you think our risk is that this is going to get worse? And what is my disease rating? What did we spray the first time? Is it advantageous to put another application on? Again, I don't know every situation. This is a really good chart to start, thinking about some different decisions. I will tell you that in many of the plots and the commercial fields that I'm in, southern rust is really easy to find. Tar spot is here, but I think the high temperatures have staved that off a little bit more in terms of spread for us. Um, Physoderm is pretty easy to find. Northern corn leaf blight, bacterial leaf streak. Unfortunately, this was one of those years that disease just seemed to really, really like and take off with. And I am still finding some corn rootworm beetles and western bean cutworm on a very low scale basis, and it is very determinant on field history in a lot of those cases. Soybeans, southern dust syndrome, continues to pop up in isolated areas, similar with white mold. I think this is less of a white mold year, thankfully, than we've seen in past, but you can still find it if you look hard enough. And then Decty stem borer is still kind of nipping at the edges of fields if we've got that field history. So just be on the watch out for that. And then what's going on in the cornfield? A lot of fields are at that beginning dent to dent stage, which we're switching from sugar to starch accumulation. So this is going to be really critical. And I'm going to hammer on the water piece again, right? So we are now determining this kernel weight piece, right? We've got the ears per area determined. We've got kernel number. Now, how many of those kernel numbers can we keep? How many can we not abort as we keep going on? But the big piece is kernel weight and dimension, right? So this is one where I feel like if we're being honest with each other, I think this is the biggest piece we probably miss on every year is having the ability to impact that kernel weight and dimension piece. I think there's sometimes where we'll plant, especially late season hybrids, and man, September 1st gets around and we want to shut pivots off. We're tired of running them all year, and we just kind of give up on it. So you made the investment in the seed. Make sure you get the most out of that investment in what that hybrid is capable of giving you, and make sure we're keeping the water on late. Similar in the soybean fields, right? So beginning seed to full seed. Most of my fields are in these categories, but again, as we go through pod formation and maturation, I would tell you if there's a time not to short a soybean field on water, it's this time we're in right now. Pod size and seed size are going to be really, really critical in keeping moisture in there. We all know how fast yields can drag once we start harvest going from a 13% down to an 8% in the field, and we all know it can happen in the matter of hours, the amount of yield we're losing in those fields because of just, poor poor nutrient management and poor moisture management more specifically, make sure we're getting into those fields and keeping that moisture content where we want it to be. And that's why I leave you with this, from an irrigation standpoint, I mean, from a corn standpoint, you look at this and there's still a long way to go with this. For these fields that are beginning dent on corn, you're still utilizing 5 inches of water to really finish this crop out correctly. So you got about 24 days to maturity or black layer development, but you still got 5 inches of water to go. And then pod development to pod fill in soybeans, you're still using a quarter to 3,500 hundredths a day. So a lot of water that still needs to be utilized, and unfortunately, Mother Nature isn't doing a real nice job at helping us out. So, again, talk to your seed professional locally, understanding what soil types you have. Hey, how often do I need to water? When can I maybe start to think about cutting that off? They're going to know the hybrids and varieties that you have planted and how to manage them correctly for top end yield. So, lastly, but certainly not least, the reason that I have been in hiatus a little bit the past couple weeks, we were very lucky to welcome a beautiful baby girl into our family named Macy Lynn. So, we are a complete family of four now. We're over the moon, running low on sleep, but just how it's supposed to be. So. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope to see you at a customer event. Please come up, ask questions. There, I've had multiple people say, "Man, I'm really scared to ask a question just because I think it's a dumb question." The only dumb question is the one that doesn't get asked. So please come with questions. We got a lot of exciting new products coming forward and an exciting new pipeline to tell you about at customer events. So I hope to see you there, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you so much.